I'm Richard Knockgrass, and we're about to look at a not so pretty side of real estate. You know, if you pay much attention on Facebook or even just in conversation with your friends, there's always a lot of hype and excitement about getting multiple offers when selling a home, which is an absolutely fantastic situation. We always want that. It's always nice to have your choice of contract. But the Facebook post you never want to see is the one that says, our buyer backed out 2 weeks into the contract, or even worse, it's the day before closing. The moving truck is here, they're almost done loading it, and the buyer's financing has fallen through. There's nothing that can be done. Oh, and by the way, the contingency offer that we had on our new home, we'd already waived the contingency. We're losing our earnest money. And even though our buyer's financing fell through and we know it, they're backing out of a clause in the contract that protects their earnest money that our agent didn't even know about. It's not a pleasant Facebook post, but it's a very real situation that I believe in most cases could very easily have been prevented had things been handled differently up front. Finding a buyer in this kind of market is the easy part. It's what happens after that that matters most. It is the vetting of that buyer to make sure that they really want the house and they're going to see that transaction through. It's the vetting of that lender. Most of these pre-approval letters are not worth the paper they're printed on. We have to make sure they have the financial wherewithal to see the transaction through. It's the vetting of that buyer's agent. The buyer's agent is the bus driver in these transactions, and we don't want to get involved with a newbie, novice, know-nothing, part-time agent as our bus driver. It's the vetting that matters most in the contract that we choose to work with. And then we've got this scary thing. This is our purchase contract in the state of Texas. It is a 9-page document with multiple property-specific addenda. And if you read through this and you truly apply it to the purchase transaction, you will discover that this is not a seller-friendly document. This is all about the buyer. This thing is chock full of buyer protections and exit doors at every turn. And if you don't understand it, and especially if your agent doesn't understand the complexities of how this contract works with all of the complexities of the transaction, you as the seller stand to lose a lot of money, take on a lot of stress, and expose yourself to an untold amount of risk. Now I'm going to show you just one example, and this goes back to the nightmare situation that I just explained. But let me show you this. So let's just look at this one aspect of the contract here regarding the seller's disclosure. This is the document that the seller should utilize to disclose everything that they know about the property, the good, the bad, and the ugly especially. And this should always be delivered to the buyer prior to executing the contract, in which case we would utilize this first section here, which says the buyer has received the notice. And by doing this, they effectively waive their right to terminate the contract due to some sort of issue in the seller's disclosure. But I would say 75% of the time, agents don't do this. And so we have to utilize paragraph number 2, which says that the buyer has not received the notice, and within blank amount of days, I get to fill this out, after the effective date of the contract, the seller will deliver the notice to the buyer. All right, sounds good. But here's what happens. If the buyer doesn't do it, they can terminate the contract at any time prior to closing and get their earnest money back. Also, if they do it in the prescribed amount of time, the buyer can still terminate the contract for any reason within 7 days after receiving the notice. Okay, so truly what has happened here is the listing agent has just screwed their seller over by not publishing or delivering that seller's disclosure up front. And when I smell this, as a buyer's agent, I'm taking full advantage of it, and I'm going to buy my buyer as many days in this contract using this clause for them to back out, terminate the contract without penalty, and get their earnest money back. Not that we want to kill deals, but I want to protect my buyer. And there's enough shark guys out there like me that are going to do that to you if you're trying to do this on your own, or if you've hired some brand new agent that doesn't understand this stuff. This contract is chock full of clauses like that that protect the buyer. And I guarantee you, I've done this enough times and I've worked on the other side of the negotiation table of other agents that don't get this. This certainly is not taught to us in our licensing classes. It is certainly not something that we're tested over in our licensing exam. A license means nothing in the state of Texas. This is all about knowledge and it's all about experience. I hope that this has been at least somewhat eye-opening for you, especially if you're trying to do this on your own, or if you're going to hire somebody that they're new and they don't know what they're doing. This isn't that complex, but you got to know how it works. So if you have any questions about it, please, as always, feel free to call, text, or email me anytime. Look forward to hearing from you soon.